It's clear. Okay. Apologies, we had some technical difficulties. Jazakallah khair.
Maulana Khalid wasn't stressed at all, grumpy at all, nothing. He was just,
we just
happy
had,
mood.
Jazakallah khair, brother Abu Yusuf. He's an IT guy. I'm an IT guy, but like I said,
that
I
was
made
like 25 years ago, man.
I made Tawbah from IT 20 years ago, and I worked in tech support for 2 months, and I let it. And I wanted to be a business analyst once upon a time.
Okay, let's introduce the gentleman first.
Inshallah. So, but anyway, you're a real IT guy, and you've saved the podcast. Alhamdulillah. So the community's joined us. Alhamdulillah. There's brothers and sisters in the chat
Inshallah,
now.
welcome.
Alhamdulillah. So welcome. You do the introductions.
Okay, so across from me we have Sheikh Khalid. He needs no introduction. We just need to get him to smile a little bit because he was quite grumpy before. Now next to me I have brother Abu Yusuf from Muslim Vote Matters.
Assalamu alaikum.
His identity isn't just Muslim Vote Matters. He's a father, and he has a lot of different hobbies that we shall discuss later on.
Inshallah.
And we have Mufti Haris,
Yeah, assalamu
Imam
alaikum.
of Melbourne Grand Mosque. It's Melbourne Grand Mosque.
I
but
call
it's
it
not
the
very
almost in Geelong Mosque.
Yeah,
Grand
almost
Mosque.
in Geelong Grand Mosque. Because it ain't near Melbourne,
Yeah,
brother. You need
it's
to
the
tell your
closest-
people.
Once I was in Doncaster, and I put it in Google, and it like just pops up as 1 hour, and I go, "What?" Like,
So,
yeah.
Mufti Sab,
It's a, yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Like salam rahmatullah.
Welcome.
Good to be here, first time. Alhamdulillah.
Okay.
Inshallah,
I'm
not the
gonna be
last.
appropriate. I'm going okay. Apparently, I was edited out last week, so Abdul Wajid will be on his best behavior today.
Inshallah.
With these special guests. All right. Anyway, so IT. What was it? The Wi-Fi reset, and of course we have behind the scenes as per usual Irfan with his one-line drops.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. Fun. Today you don't have a mic. Inshallah. We should have got your mic, extra mic, but alhamdulillah. All right, let's get cracking.
All right.
So we've got an hour, inshallah, or so.
Before we get straight into it, you were talking about. Oh, now first of all, 3-day fast, people. 3-day fast. I'm a water drinker now.
72 hours.
72 hours. Remember we talked about it last time?
Yeah, how'd that go?
It was amazing. First day, I didn't have any electrolytes.
Okay.
So first day was just like fasting but
Yep.
with water. Second day in the afternoon, massive headache. Ridiculous. I found Nutrition Warehouse or something like that. And so you get electrolytes, 0 sugar. It took me till the third day, like Friday morning, to recover from it. However, I was buzzing. Like the clarity, mental clarity was ridiculous. I met a brother and he was just like, dude, it was like I was on speed. Not that I've ever been on speed. Let's not go there. But
Wallah on them.
thanks, bro. Right, but the mental clarity is ridiculous, and it resets your gut. Resets
Yeah, it
everything.
mentions in books, ulama have written that like there's a fog around the brain, and when you're fasting, and that or eating too much, and so that fog, like that's the way they've described it, and so you probably experience by just drinking water, you probably experience that fog being removed, the clarity.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
and,
pretty cool.
and now I'm drinking a lot of water, which I never used to do before.
Okay.
I'm a
Let's
bit
see how long
behind
it
on,
lasts.
like,
Let's see how long it lasts.
So you had water just for 3 days, was it?
Yeah, water fast. So what happened was I started Monday night after having chocolate and ice cream, and I was like, I better do a 3-day. I've got to do a detox for 24 hours.
It's like a kafara.
Yeah, and Tuesday morning on the way to work, I had an orange juice, 600 ml. That was it till Friday 2:30, and all I had was water and the sugar-free electrolytes. They actually taste better than the normal ones. You know how we buy the normal electrolytes from the pharmacy? You don't realize how much stuff's actually in there that doesn't need to be. It was amazing. A mutual friend of ours, I was speaking to him about it. Like, I was like, dude, I got to go home and eat. He does 5-day fasts
Oh, wow.
How often?
regularly.
Yeah.
And he's like, go home and break it with soup. I had salad. And I'm
So
eating
I told you that soup, you can't just go directly to like
Thank
a
you, Sheikh
kebab
Khalid.
or like the pie or
No,
the
it wasn't-
donut that you had this
oh,
evening, which I
bro,
saw.
I'm not going to say the
Yeah.
name of the place. I paid $8 for a pie.
Yeah.
It was extremely average.
Anyway.
So when you say fasting, do you have your sahur and your iftar and
Yeah, you can drink as much water as you want during the
It's
day.
not fasting like a shadow.
It's not. It's not. Yeah, it's not.
It's like a
Sharia
bidati
fasting.
fast.
Yeah, it's me, guys.
Yeah. It's a water fast, meaning that you're not eating basically. So
can you have caffeine? Coffee?
Yes, you can have coffee,
Okay.
no milk, and you can have tea. However, all I did was have water.
So it's like intermittent fasting, but for 3 days.
Yeah, and I've it's called an extended fast. I've cut coffee out of my system. It's amazing. I don't need it.
Yeah.
after 3 days.
Really?
Yeah.
I've done it once. I did it last year, the year before.
You need
It's
to do it
72
again.
hours, and it is good. It can be done. It's like it can be done. Like it's weird. The nafs is strange, you know. Like, and controlling your nafs is a strange thing. And what
Yeah.
you think that you can't do, you know, go beyond your limits. You know, like all that.
Well,
New horizons.
Leading on to that,
Yeah.
this is a nice segue. The fog of the brain clearing. I know, now Azim, Muslim vote matters. I know we're getting straight to
That
it.
was like not a very smooth transition.
That's
No,
that was
because
like a burnout, and like a
feel
90 degrees
I
turn.
I feel like these elections, I've got to get into it and then we'll come back to it. Sorry, Abu Yusuf. Okay, so I've got to correct me every time.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to put this here. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've got to go by the name you go by. So I apologize for that. So Muslim vote matters.
Sure.
Muslim vote matters is there to clear the fog of the brain of the ummah.
Okay,
from
so
the-
I don't know much about it.
That's what
I've
I've
seen
got
a
Abu
few
Yusuf
things
here
on
for.
social media, and
Okay.
so you know more about it. But I don't know much about it. Mufti Aris, you're aware of it. So I've seen certain things.
How about this?
So let's say I'm coming with it with no information. I really am not. I don't know. I guess
tell us about
it's to galvanize the Muslim voting bloc, I guess. So
it. You tell us about it.
Yeah.
Abu Yusuf, yes.
Yeah, sure. Jazakallah khair for giving us an opportunity. And the thing is, I know you, Sheikh, but you probably don't know me.
Okay.
That's how it is. So,
When you celebrate those things, sort of. That's what I dream. Astaghfirullah.
so I do listen to your podcasts.
Oh,
you
no.
know, when I go to sleep and
So you put him to sleep, mate. That's what you do. You put him to sleep.
I think it's your fasting stories. But anyway.
yeah. So I know Brother Wajid. And we met in a political event, and I said, you know, Masjid Car Park, and how can you help the Muslim community, politics and people and so on. Anyway, so the inflection point is here, that I'm here. Anyway, so the start point of MVM is, you know, terrible events happened last year, October, international events. And, you know, a lot of things happened. So we Muslims and allies, we've been voicing our concern for our Palestinian brethren. And then we had complete lack of concern, support, willpower from our elected reps saying, you know, what's happening? We're out in the streets protesting, and we didn't get any feedback. So some of us started strategizing as to what can the community do beyond just standing on the streets and protesting. I mean, we need to be counted at least at a head count level. Forget influence beyond that. We don't even get counted at that level. So it started off as a spreadsheet, if I might say that.
So just pause for a moment. So the start of it is after the events last year. So it's really a new organization, or is there like a the October 7th events last year, October 8th events beyond that? What's happened? What's the history before that? Like, is there a history before it, or is it there was already some groups, organization that were already politically active or savvy, and then they came in this event and said they saw the fault lines and where effort needs to be made?
Good question. A lot of us were politically active in different political parties. We weren't signed up members, but you know, as many of our Muslim community members were, some of us were in ALP, some of us were in Greens, some of us just had, you know, some sort of community involvement. So we all came from different spheres of life and different shades of the parties and go, what can we do together as a community? And that was kind of the start point. It was all a spreadsheet that started, which became a website.
A literal spreadsheet.
A literal spreadsheet was getting circulated among people, including some of the Shura members who started
Of members
it,
of parliament.
of MVM.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, saying, you know, where do Muslims live and what power do we
Okay.
have, sort of thing. And eventually, so it's a really brand new organization. In terms of structure, we have an MVM Shura, the national group that makes the decisions, and in every state, as in Victoria, so I'm leading the team along with two co-leads. So we have a Victorian team, and we got team leads, we got volunteers, and we are just starting to mobilize. So September 1st, we had a huge national launch at Broadmeadows Town Hall, and that to us is telling the community, and that when we say community, we don't just mean the Muslim community, the wider community that we live in, that we are here, and we think we have a way to express our feelings and willpower in a political process, and we want to enact some changes. So,
So that's democracy, right?
exactly.
So that's the whole point. Like, if you have a look on social media and the mainstream media, Muslim Vote Matters is almost like this renegade or rogue organization that is trying to take over Australia. Like, that's how mainstream media portrays it.
Yeah.
However, this is democracy at work, right?
Correct. So you'd have seen similar organization in the UK. I mean, US political system is very different. So UK is sort of not the same, but similar. And you'd have seen the success of, say, 6 Muslim independents running on or 6 independents running on the ticket of Palestine, actually getting up and winning seats. So it is doable.
Yep.
So if someone was to ask me, is this all airy-fairy? Is it really possible? I want everybody to know, the Muslim bloc to know that there is hope. Definitely you need to have the message of hope, and we are able to do changes. We're not talking based on feelings. We're talking based on stats. And I can go deeper into...
So, and this is originated in Sydney? Is it the
Okay.
So, as a Melbourneite, we need to be clear
Sure.
on it.
So
Is it
Not
from
that it matters,
Nakemba?
and not where. Yeah.
okay, so
Are you from
we-
Sydney?
are we Melbourne? Are we Sydney? We are everywhere.
Yeah.
I think you're referring to a sister organization called TMV, with the Muslim Votes, and that is very much a Sydney-based organization, and Sheikh Wissam runs that organization. The difference between
Sheikh Wissam
Sharqawi, yeah. So the difference between TMV and MVM is TMV is, you can say, the Sydney flavor, and they run candidates. MVM is in the business of running candidates. We are in the business of endorsing candidates based on what they stand for and shared values. We are beyond the identity politics, and we are about what does this candidate stand for, whether or not they're Muslim. That's also important to know.
That was the next thing that I wanted to discuss with you. So, are you giving like scorecards for candidates, or are you almost like directing certain candidates? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Vote for this guy, vote for this guy. Or are you saying he stands for this, she stands for this? You make the call.
Okay, so there's always speculation around, person A is running for this party, but we want the party to endorse, pre-select, and announce a candidate.
Okay.
So how it works is, I've got notes here. So candidates get announced by the parties, division by division. So you've got multiple divisions, right, which covers more than just one council area. We'll be doing an analysis of that individual candidate's political stance. Sometimes candidates may disagree with their party line. And the famous example of someone we all know from WA Senator Fatima Payman, will decide to cross the floor, and she's where she is at the moment. But mashallah, she's triggered a lot of thinking and change within the Muslim community.
She's quite active on social media. She's not doing too bad.
Yeah. And
Mashallah.
she's getting the younger voters excited too. So MVM will be doing an analysis of every candidate's political stance, what their plans are, their legacy, and their promises as well. We look at their social media, and we look at what their party says. And then we're not going to make subjective decisions on these things. We're going to be objective. So we're going to mark them. Let's say 4 of them are contesting the seat of Wills or Corwell or whatever, wherever we are. And we'll look at all of them on the same scale and mark them up on objective scores, and then figure out who is the best fit for our community, and then we endorse that candidate.
So, how does that final score look like?
Could you potentially have somebody for Liberals in one seat because of that person's stance, and then somebody for Labor in another seat, like you'll endorse, and somebody for the Greens, and then another seat an independent? Or are you looking at, okay, where does this party stand? Because
it's a mix of both.
Yep. Okay.
But in saying, one of the main objectives of MVM is to hold the current federal government accountable for them being complicit in genocide.
Yes.
And that is one of the main goals. So we're not making any, we're not hiding the fact that we really want to hold the federal government accountable.
Yes.
For them being complicit in genocide. So we're trying to say we will show it at the polls as to the pain of the Muslim community, whether or not we're Arab, we're Palestinian, and so on. We want to make sure that you hear our voices at the polls, because you're not hearing our voices in the protests. Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, you get people protesting on the streets. Look, there's few different versions of it, right? Like, this isn't the first year we're out there protesting. Sometimes Google Pictures comes up with pictures from 15 years ago, and I look at it and go, oh, same protest. It's the same protest, 15. So some of our people go, look, what's the point? We are there protesting and no one's there to listen to us. Perhaps in the evening news you have a 2-minute news, voice clip saying
violent protests.
Pro-Palestinian protesters blocking trams in front of State Library.
We discussed this before about the protest for the weapons manufacturers, the land forces expo that they had, and the way it was. You can just see. I mean, we don't have the things we could actually do an analysis, but just reading it and watching it, way it was misconstrued.
Like everybody in land forces were like peace-loving,
and they were just they're on their way after work to go pick up their kids while they're inside the building selling weapons and battle test and all that sort of stuff. That gets missed. And he said these protesters are going to spoil business the way it was presented, they're really bad for business in Victoria and Melbourne. When the protesters not protested any other event, sports or anything else, or any other business expo or anything like that, only specifically weapons that have been used, as I said, in genocide. And so, you can very clearly see there's a certain way that it's been, so the only way to make them listen is, like you're saying, at the ballot box. And
as one of my friends says, look, in Spring Street, in the state parliament, they could draw the curtains and literally block you from seeing you protesting, and they can carry on with their business as usual.
Wow.
Protests do work, but in saying we need to translate that, we need to amplify that voice. So protests will still go on every Sunday. People still go and they protest, and it's a good way to engage with people. But then there's a lot more than just Palestine, right? So I want to touch on that topic.
Okay, that's an important.
So I asked a question before, and just want clarification. When you giving a scorecard, let's say for a federal parliament, or for an MP or a state MP or a local councillors, I don't know, are you dealing with all levels of the politics, or?
So at the moment, given that we're at a very nascent stage, we're only focused on federal 2025.
Okay,
so
we're not federal election.
Victorian state elections are 2 years away. And our local elections are happening right now as we speak, postal ballots. We're not doing it as an organisation, but in saying we could all wear different hats, right? We could be supporting different things at the same time, but as an MVM organisation, we are only focused on federal 2025 at this stage. And we're not here just to finish off Fed 2025 and disappear. We're thinking of long-term, setting the stage, inshallah, and we want it to be a long-term political voice. Are we a party? No, we are not.
So when you're giving the scorecard, is there like a point system? Like you're giving a point, like,
but you have to remember.
And I really want to know what
like a maths guy.
I really want to know what Pauline Hance's score is. So, as an example, as a random example.
I think Brother Ghaith was mentioning how, like, when they gave a scorecard for a particular politician, they actually called up and updated their stance to get a better score. So it is working. Is that what's the story behind that one?
So at the moment on the MBM's website, you'll have scorecards of. Not all of them, of major seats that we're thinking about, of what the incumbent MP's score is. And so it basically says, they mention Palestine in the parliament so many times. So it's a very honest thing of every mention is given a credit. And for things that they've said, but they're not going to progress beyond just words, well, you're marked done and so on. But in terms of the federal election and marking them on various factors, including Palestine, that is yet to be decided as to, is that a 5-star system? Is it going to be a score out of 10 and 0, 1 being the lowest and 10 being those are specifics that are going to be discussed and finalized. Federal elections hopefully are a few months away, not in 2024.
Unless he calls
inshallah.
it early.
Well, unless there's a DD, a double dissolution, and things are set in motion. But we are preparing ourselves. We are set in motion. So the September 1st national launch set the stage, and our teams are mobilizing in every state, including New South Wales, Queensland, WA, and so on. So would we endorse ALP? That that kind of goes against one of the main missions, is to send a message to the ruling incumbent that
We're not happy.
we're not happy with what you've done or what you haven't done.
Yep.
What you haven't done is the main thing,
Yeah.
which means we need to look at other choices that are out there and align ourselves with the candidate that scores the highest with respect to our values and what we stand for.
And the party scores as well. So it's like a dual thing, is it?
Correct.
So candidate plus party.
Correct.
Okay, that's interesting because that leads on to that leads on to some council elections, right? So Abu Yusuf, I'm sure we're going to come back to you with more questions regarding this. So be alert.
Sure.
Just
Be
in,
awake.
just in the, like for the future vision, is it just going to be like foreign issues, or can you like will you incorporate stuff like like LGBT and stuff like that?
Bro, LGBT is done and gone.
Yeah, no, but just like in general, I mean, this issue isn't going to last forever,
Yeah.
inshallah. But like so like what's the future vision beyond?
Just speaking to the mic.
Yeah.
So, we know they got it, but just
So Palestine is the house on fire. So that is
Preservation of life.
Yeah, preservation of life is really, really crucial, and that is the house on fire, and that is number one. But in saying, look, we all live in different suburbs, and we are affected by exactly the same sort of issues that every other person faces,
Yeah.
whether or not you care about Palestine. So you got, housing crisis, cost of living, employment, infrastructure, education.
yeah,
And as you know, if you live in certain suburbs where, as you call it, the rusted-on ALP seats or
Us.
yeah,
Faulkner, Coburg, Brunswick.
Big time.
yeah, and Hume
These-
and in a council of
Yeah.
Hume. No, so the government doesn't need to do anything to win your vote because your vote is in the bag. And as it goes, the crying baby gets the milk, and you don't cry, you don't get any
Yeah.
funding. So you call it the rust on ALP seats, and the infrastructure is not metaphorically, literally rusting, right? So
Some places it is.
as it is. So as soon as there are more than one there's no more than one party that could actually get your vote, and then everybody needs to fight for your vote, not just take you for granted. So there are issues beyond Palestine, as Imam was asking, that affects us all. And so we think by us raising our voices and channeling it in a way that the parties need to work hard to get a vote, and that's not just promises. We'll track them through and ensure that whatever is promised is actually delivered. Because we are not here for one cycle, right? Cycles of elections come and go every 3 years, and inshallah people may change as to who runs the movement and so on. We hopefully, inshallah, we'll hope to exist as a movement ongoing.
mashallah. Yeah, political, like it's Allah reward you guys, and the thing
hard work,
the
man.
thing
It's
the thing
hard
that
work.
has triggered it is tragic.
Yeah.
But the education that you guys are providing to our community, and you really, I think one of the things for our next generation or current generation, forget about next generation, but the current generation, even the ones that are middle aged. And young ones like myself and middle-aged ones like the Wajid, we need to the youth and the elders.
The wisdom.
But our political
young people.
literacy is very low.
Yeah.
This is my opinion,
is.
but I think it is very low, and we are sort of frightened of institutions, even though we might be 2-3 generations as citizens.
Because we've never had exposure to them. And
Yeah.
this goes back to what Abu Yusuf was saying, is if you have even look at the high schools in these rusted on belts or in these safe seats, whichever safe seat it is, not much focus is given to these high schools. Not much money is thrown at them. So the education will never be there.
Yeah, they're not even providing what
No.
an
The
education
basic
level.
stuff.
Yeah, let alone to educate you about the institutions of the
Yeah.
country, how to have theory of access to the
Private
institution.
schools.
The government. Most people probably don't even know what a
selective governments,
governor general is. They might not even know how the mayor's office works. They might not know the MP, state, even the divisions of government.
All of that.
The literacy level is low. So in that sense, like it's very positive what you're doing. And are you doing something specific for that? Like,
Yeah, true. So we the Muslim Votes Matter projects ourselves as a community that's just a block. But as we know, every Muslim community is so diverse,
Yeah.
and we have so many different cultural and linguistic groups within the Muslim community. So a Somali Muslim is not the same as an Afghan Muslim, isn't the same as a Turkish Muslim. we are so diverse, mashallah. The diversity is good, but when we approach each community, and the more time we spend, we learn a lot about each community, right? Because so amongst Turks, there's so many different flavors of it as to so there's always the back home scenario where what their allegiances are based on the home politics, and same with Pakistanis and Bengalis, and so with that one. There are some communities that are very politically switched on, and they want to be hands-on. They want to get their hands dirty with politics here. And we know how a lot of communities who've been here have been involved in politics before with major parties. Yeah. They've been there, they've done it. Some of them have been out of it and so on. But there are
results.
No, yeah.
The outcomes, thing is we're not getting outcomes.
The outcomes aren't there. Yeah. The proximity to power sometimes is perceived as having power, but it's not.
Yeah, and that's what we were discussing previously about Senator Payman. Like she got to the top, she became a senator, right? Yeah. And she's there, but you can see that the internal structures.
It means nothing in the scheme of things.
Like when it came, there was a fault line, and they drew the line. They said, "All right, you're out." So they, even being that as a senator who's supposed to matter something in the party, as a one senator of many, which is a very exclusive group for that party. Yeah. Decision part of the government decision making body, even that wasn't good enough to. So we have to maybe
forget about one senator.
So we don't want to go. We don't want to be beating a dead horse and we need to get more senators in, and they can't do anything anyway
in that party.
Yeah,
and change the party from within.
The party changes the person.
Is that even a thing?
Changing the party from within. So that often is. So I'll go back to
It's becoming an interview of Abu Yusuf.
So there's many different types of Muslims, right? So there are newer migrants who are not even enrolled. So that's your very basic level. They're not enrolled to vote. So as part of MVM's mission is to increase the electoral literacy, and that starts off with getting people enrolled in the role so you become eligible to vote. And then comes, I wouldn't name specific centers or masjids, but then there's a group that would go, everything that happens within the masjid matters, but everything outside the masjid, we are apolitical, things will work. There's no point, let's focus inwards, improve ourselves. There's nothing wrong with improving ourselves. Everybody has potential to improve. But in ignoring what's happening outside the walls of the masjid.
But a masjid should be apolitical, because we did have a chat about that.
Yeah. Just before we continue, there's another issue I wanted to ask Mufti Haris about this. Politics, participating in politics is shirk. Can you please elaborate on the?
Wow, where did that come from?
That's a legitimate. That's people say this in our community. So I'm just putting before you. Have somebody approached you as an imam? Someone said it to me today over the phone.
Is the whole Hakimi argument? Huh? Is the whole Hakimi argument?
Whatever the argument is, whatever angle they come from.
The idea is you got to talk to us about it.
But
because I got no idea.
Usually, how would you?
I'd first ask them like where they're coming from. Like, why do you think it's shirk? Right? Like I said, at a basic level, shirk is just worshipping.
You're gonna have to edit all this out.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
We sincerely apologise. Just some technical difficulties.
Malana stuffed up again. All right. Anyway.
All right.
No, he didn't. So we were talking about shirk.
So the first thing is that obviously fundamentally, shirk is worshipping someone besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I understand the Hakimiyya argument that that they're saying that you're voting for someone making legislation that's like only Allah has a right of legislation, but at the same time you do have to acknowledge that that's a bit of a leap. It's not apples to apples, like so that's the first thing, that it is.
Why is it a bit of a leap?
Well, because one's worshipping like an idol versus voting. Like it's fundamentally different things. Like it's very different. Like so there is a leap.
I think
there is a connection.
We have to simplify it even further. That there are two aspects of.
Yeah, I need you guys to simplify this now. I'm on that.
Can I finish a sentence, man? So there are two aspects of participating in this process, quote unquote politics or government. That one is the legislation, that laws are being, that are quote unquote un-Islamic, are being decided, and definitely will say that it's wrong. The other aspect of government is decision making about society, right?
Okay.
Although there's kind of overlap, but there are two functions of the government. There's laws that direct society and so forth. For us, it should be based upon the Quran and Sunnah. It's very clear.
Yep.
However, society is still running, and you're living in that society. And there are plenty of examples from the Quran and from the Sunnah of situations where Muslims are in unidealistic situations, and they still participated. And there's clear-cut evidence from that from the Quran and Sunnah, where Rasulullah ﷺ talked about the before.
حلف الفضول.
Yeah. So this was an agreement.
But that's not exactly voting.
No. But there's a government process done by kuffar, the mushrikeen, right? And they decided on some matter for social good. They got together and said, basically to protect people that are oppressed.
Yeah.
This was an agreement before. Rasulullah ﷺ said, if I was invited to that, like he would partake in, because it was such a good thing for the benefit of society. So that's we like simplify, like we're leaving the idea of voting and so forth, but we're talking about governance and decision making.
From a historical perspective, like you also have Muslims in like Russia, and Tsar Russia, like being involved in the government under like the Chinese.
Yeah, but that's not a dalil. Like what you do in Russia or China is not a dalil.
No, but like you had ulama, and like you had Muslims participating in the.
It's still not a dalil. It's maybe a precedence in a certain situation, but we go back to the Quran and Sunnah. Then that Rasulullah said, I would participate, and that's one thing. Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, this is one of the big Mullah Mansoor Nomani, he talks about this, working in a Muslim government, non-Muslim government, and specifically in Deen and Shariat, his book I was reading, at the end of it, it's in English, you can find it, and he talks about it, and one of the examples he puts forward is Yusuf alayhi salam in the governor of the pharaohs of Egypt, and they are pagans. They're not just, they were pagans, and he was working as a quote-unquote treasurer. That's whatever system they had of governance to get him, that he became a minister or prime minister of the country and is distributing the granaries. He was there. The man who is in the court of Firaun, right? Whatever governance Firaun had, I don't think it was good. It was Islamic. But there's a Muslim there. He's hidden. And some people might argue, well, in certain extreme situation, you're excused. Well, we have an extreme situation where there's Muslims suffering and Muslims are losing their lives. And the machine that's keeping going, you have a chance to say something about that, and you're given the opportunity, whether you like it or not. If you're a citizen in this country, you're given a say. Now, you want to exercise that, not exercise that. It'll be, when you're younger, you're sort of like more black and white. Yeah, tawheed, shirk, kufar, this, that. But you realize that. Jazakallah khair, Melbourne, for confirming. You realize that no, there's a lot of not grey, but we have to engage with it, because saying that we're neutral, we're going to do a donkey vote, a dummy vote, that is not actually a position. That is a position, and you're being passively allowing the wrong to get passed, right?
Wow.
And I give the example. Let's say there's two people. There's an issue. Sorry, Abu Yusuf. I'm trying to discuss with Mufti about the shirk thing, because I don't buy the argument, because if you come to a decision making of how society is running, well, this is what the society is doing. You're living in it. You pretend that like you're not part of it. And you're still part of, you're citizen, you're enrolled automatically, and you are, as far as I know, we were enrolled, and you have a say. And if you let it pass, so if you simplify it down to the basics, if on a certain issue, let's say one issue, and the lesser of two evil argument, let's even say that, there's two people that are voting one way, three people voting the other way for the bigger evil, two for the lesser, three. There's two Muslims in addition to that. If those two Muslims vote, just say I'm going to be neutral, the three will win over the two. That's the system, right? You like it, don't like it, whatever, that's the system. But the two, if they come in and say, well, I'll choose the lesser of the two evils, and I'll vote with the other two, then you got four here and three there. That's where, just to simplify the maths. That's what you're putting your head in the sand and saying that this imaginary person that I'm talking to, you're putting your head in the sand and pretending that like you're not part of it, but you are part of it. And by you passively allowing, quote unquote, I don't want to participate in it, I'll throw a donkey vote so I don't get the fine, but you are participating. But the donkey vote is a participation. And then you expand that over to a whole community. And whatever I'm simplifying to one issue, it could be multiple issues. You have to weigh. So the situation might not be ideal. Right, and we are taught in Sharia the akhaful dararain argument, the lesser of two harms. So we have to weigh all the harms, and this is one of the great ulama from India, rahimullah. He passed away a few years ago during COVID, and he was in Canada Mufti Sayyid Panapur rahimahullah. One of the great Shaykh al-Hadith ulama, wrote dozens and dozens of books and great scholar. And when he was in Canada, like I think 15, 20 years ago, and the LGBT issue wasn't such a, like as it was formed in the last few years or last decade. So this is like I think it came later to Australia and other countries, but he said to vote for the Greens because this is during the Iraq-Afghanistan war.
Wow, during and the Greens are so...
And LGBT was like very nascent. It wasn't as the way it was, it was a bit more, it's much more in your face now. So he said, because you're given a vote, use it, and which one of all the parties when it's all the manifesto or whatever the things is put in front of him, he said the least harmful for the Muslim was the Greens because they were anti-war stuff, the rainbow flags and whatnot. If that's your thing, but you worry about these things. But there's people dying in Iraq. 1 million people died. Whatever it was, crazy amount of people in Afghanistan. There's like 20 years of war.
Yeah.
You're like, they're both bad for us as Muslims, but this is like extreme level. 1 million dead is not a small. One person dying is not a
4.5 million. I think I just read today in total from in the past 20 years that have died in US
Yeah, there you go. So I think like when you have scholarship like that actually generally understand and said you're in this system, and there's a brother called me yesterday about it and just wanted to discuss this, and I said, well, you're from a certain country and from a similar part of the world, and we have a tribal system of
we know the country.
Tribal system, and he understands that, and he said like, how the village council works, and each country's got its own little quirks.
Yep.
And nobody mentions their Quran and Sunnah. You got some guys that are tribal village elders, and then they rule the rest of them. No one's talking about Hadith, Quran, Shirk. These guys they're not necessarily ruling against the Sharia, but they have a system in place of how they make decisions for society. So this is, I think, like you have to look at it as a decision-making body of how to run the society that is good for everybody and beneficial to everybody. And if we see it in those terms, then you'll yes, we don't agree with the laws being made, but at the same time you're part of that society. And if you say I'm not going to be part of it, well, you're not really. The only way you cannot be part of it is give up your citizenship, move to another country. Yep. As long as you're here, you're part of it. So you might as well, if they're giving you the voice, use it. If they're giving you the vote, use it. That's their system. That's the system that we're in. Wallah.
So now it comes
what about that? Yeah, like من رأى منكم منكرا فليغيره بيده فإن لم يستطع فبلسانه.
If you see an evil, change it with your hand. If not, then change it with your tongue. If not, change it.
Yeah. So there's an evil, like you're able to change it. I think use that opportunity.
So the vote is more. The vote is like saying it.
So this is getting back to what Azim was saying, that we've been protesting. Sorry, Abu Yusuf was saying, why am I doing? You know why? Because you saved it on my phone. Abu Yusuf was saying, can you rip that paper off and put it in front of me?
Yeah.
Abu Yusuf was saying that we've been protesting for how many years, and we're not getting anything. And that's because, okay, we're using our voice. Now we can practically, physically do something, vote for the right person.
Yeah.
Or vote for the lesser of the two evils. Now, just having said that, we've got, Mufti Sahib, I want to ask you like some questions, or everyone here actually, is we've got some hot topics going on at the moment. Who do we vote for? This candidate is with this person, this candidate is with this person, with this party. Now, I find that my interactions with people, they're not very sophisticated. They're very emotional, and the arguments are quite emotional.
And they're singular in their...
Very, very much so. So I'm going to take devil's advocate here, and I'm going to bring these arguments out. Mm-hmm. So first thing is this.
So about the council elections.
Let's say council elections, but this will lead on to the bigger elections anyway. Okay, just general. So first thing is, if a person supports, for example, Greens, right? Everyone knows where I stand, so there's no point trying to be all secretive about it. But LGBTQI, I know I'm confident with what I believe and what I do, but just as a thing,
you are the worst representative for the Greens because you already jumped to LGBTQ. Why not talk about all the issues? What's their stance?
The reason I say that is, you got to listen to me. The reason I say that is our people will not look at any other issue and don't care about any other issue.
What are the issues that the Greens, as an example, as a party, what are the issues? Don't tell me one issue. You just throw one issue. Okay, of course I'm going to be against them.
But this is my point. This is why I want.
But you haven't mentioned any other issue. You just mentioned LGBT Greens. I'm not going to support you because you're a Green and you say.
But because you're focus or the average person's focus with the Greens or any independent.
But you've only mentioned one issue here. Mention more issues.
That's all they mention.
But I'm asking you now. I'm asking you now. Give me the manifesto for the Greens.
I'm asking you, where do we stand?
I
can't give you the manifesto. You're not understanding where I'm going.
I understand what you're saying.
No
but
idea.
You want us to? We can't support Greens because they're LGBT.
I'm not
we
telling
can't
you-
support Greens. We cannot encourage it because of this issue.
Because of this
Because you've only
issue.
given me one issue.
Okay, this is my point.
I think he's playing devil's advocate. This is
Yeah,
what people
Yeah, I know,
This
but
is
he's
my
doing it
point.
really badly. I'm
I'm
asking.
actually not.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm actually saying no, we can't support Greens because of this one issue.
correct.
What do you have to say to that?
Sorry, Abu Yusuf. Like I know you want to chime in, but
what do you have to say to that? I'm opening it to the floor. So you're saying no, you can't do it.
on the LGBT, of course not.
No, not on the LGBT because.
But that's the only issue you presented.
The society thinks that these are the only guys that stick up for it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Sorry.
So on Sunday morning, I was invited to a shura of people with good intentions, and they're doing a lot of good stuff in the community. As soon as this topic came up, the default question was Greens, LGBT. That is actually very true.
That's my point, which
Yeah.
is a load of crap.
Yep. So
But that's explained to me why it's a lot of crap.
I will, but I want to get what you guys are saying first.
But you haven't given us any information.
No.
Has he given
because
us any?
Today in society, within our community, I've had this conversation with certain people, right? The first thing when I said, "Yep, mate, I'm a Greens voter," straight away, "What, you're LGBTQI, brother?"
But you are.
I want to protect my children.
But you are. Because that's the only issue you've given
Let
me
me-
now.
no, but let
you
me
only
finish.
you haven't given me any other issues.
All you're doing right now, I don't know what you're doing. I actually don't know.
I'm
what you're
asking you what the other issues Greens stand for.
I'm not talking about other issues. Let me finish with this issue. I want to tackle this because I want to get this out of the minds of our people.
But you're not doing a good job at it.
No, because you're not allowing me to.
oh man,
No,
I would help you.
All right,
help
thank
me
you.
out.
Thank
This
you,
guy's
Abu
doing
Yusuf.
he's-
Abu
he's
Yusuf,
doing
please.
my head in
I
right
understand
now.
what Wajid's actually saying because this is what people are saying. People hear Greens and have a knee-jerk reaction that
That's
you're
what
supporting
happened with me.
LGBT.
Listen,
That's
you're
literally
LGBT. My
that's
children, I'm
literally
gonna protect
what
them.
And they
people
are,
seeing.
so, but you have
that's-
to-
But they're
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
It's not only them. That's my point. All these parties, every single party, which party do
I
we
think I
get
have to
the
agree
yes
that
vote
it's a bit of
come
marketing failure from the Greens on
Yeah,
that front.
no,
It is
it's
a
not the
marketing
marketing
failure.
from the Greens. It's an attack by the mainstream media onto the Greens to make them look like because they're not good for big corporations.
I'll give you one more. So I'm part of a Melton discussion group. One of the brothers there said, "Brother, I'm a meat eater. How am I going to vote for the Greens?"
Yeah.
So there's one more to it.
No, but I'm not worried about those
Can't
arguments.
have anything. None to our meat.
Yeah. So move this up. Go.
I mean, what are the I went to an ICV information session, and if I tell under the Labour government, if I tell someone that it's haram to be gay, for example, like I can and they like dob on me, they report me to the police or something. I can
But
get
you
copped.
don't do that. So
I
let's make that
I know,
clear.
but for example, if I do that, like I can get copped with like $100,000 fine. The organization can get the organization I'm working for can get slapped with like $1 million fine. So like I'm not sure exactly what laws they're afraid of that the Greens will bring in.
But there is nothing. Who do we get the yes vote under? With the
Yeah,
Greens in
and
power?
yeah, exactly. And that I mean that was like the Liberal government, wasn't it? That was meant to be like the most right wing mainstream party that we have, and the yes vote sort of happened under them. So what exactly like are they? So my response would be like, what exactly are you like afraid of that isn't already here that they would bring in?
That is my point.
And
Thank you.
like
wanted someone else
if you
to
go to the education department website, like the school has the right to see that if your child feels that if it's a boy they feel like that they're a girl, and the parents aren't supportive, the school can intervene and help with the transition already, like under
So we
Labour.
talked about this in one of our podcasts in the past. So my point is,
It's already pretty like far extreme, yeah.
So for Muslims that say, "Oh, because of this party, we don't do this party for this reason," don't vote for them. That's not what I'm saying. But because of this, it's a very, very unsophisticated and closed-minded argument. That's what I'm trying to say.
I agree with you. I agree with
it's
you. You
just
have to look
people-
at, but it
people are
has to be
jumping on
on
that.
multiple
Right,
issues.
that's right. So let's look at housing. Where do they stand for housing?
Yeah,
I agree
you
with
have
you.
housing, you have
I don't
AUKUS,
disagree with
have
you.
negative
That's what I'm
gearing.
saying. The thing is that if you come to me and say vote for Greens, and let's say that's the only thing that I know about them, the LGBT, they're very pro.
Yep.
Let me finish. Then of course, as a Muslim, I'm required, and I'll reject it. I'll go with one of the traditional parties that I know. Let's say I'll go with the traditional party, Family First, whatever. I'll go with a party,
Pauline.
whatever
One
it is.
Nation,
That is
it's
more
easy.
on that issue. On that issue,
Well, it is more halal.
I'll give a scorecard,
Clive-
and that is
Clive
better.
Palmer.
But if you bring war like the war hawks, like liberals crazy, like what they want to do. Like they think that Labor's not doing enough, so they're even more nuts than Labor. Labor's sort of like passively, semi-passive, sort of. They don't talk.
They're not passive.
No.
not passive.
Huh?
Your hand takes away the focus from everyone. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, bro. Focus on that. Man.
Yeah. That's when you don't have enough information. Use your hands to communicate, like trying to fill in the gaps with. So I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you. In terms of the thing. But if you just bring one issue, and that's
right.
all they're known for, then I should find out what the other issues.
Yes,
I'm
that's
asking
right.
you, why should I vote green? As an example,
All I wanted to say.
Why should I vote green?
Right now, preservation of life.
Correct. So thank you. That's
Full stop.
yeah.
But what I wanted to say is for those listeners, if you're listening, mate, it ain't just about that, because all these other parties are all part of it.
Yeah.
It's just that the marketing and advertising by some parties to make it an us and them issue is better.
Culture wars.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
Like you just said, someone said, if you vote for Greens, I want to be a vegetarian. Man, I know Greens brothers, mashallah, they massive. We know one. Meat eaters.
Yeah.
Right? So the point is, it's all there to distract from what the real issues are.
And I think that's very important. Why the scorecard is very important, because that's a simple way, easy way. Like we went through the Christian scorecard during the state election. Actually, went through the scorecard. Went through two scorecards. The ICV one. We went through the ICV scorecard, which is basically vote green. You like that one? And then we went through the Christian one, because that's more on values and religion. And we saw that
Family First came up. Trump's.
Obviously, because it was created by a Christian evangelical group, but they'll say, but then all those values do line up with our traditional family values. All line up, and protecting religious freedom, so forth. We do line up on that. So I think like you haven't done a good job in representing
I'm not
Greens.
representing Greens.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
are.
part of the party. I haven't got a membership with the Greens
Sorry,
party.
Abu Yusuf.
No, I was saying it's a weighted scorecard, right? Some issues are more important than the
That's
others.
right.
So at the end of it, not everything gets the equal number of weightage. So at the end of it, you come with a grand score, which is made up of a number of things, and some things like Palestine at the moment will get top scores. If you are pro, and if you're not, you get negative scores, and
That's it.
Yeah, and it all adds up: climate change, education, cost of living, and rental housing. It's related to it.
For me, right now, Palestine and the housing crisis. The amount of homeless in Victoria, in Melbourne, is growing at an exponential level.
Yeah, and it's not.
We have houses, literally hundreds, if not thousands of houses sitting empty. Investor houses.
There's a YouTube channel I keep sending you.
I've been watching that guy.
Squat, don't let it rot. Like people are squatting. So
This
they
guy
actually
goes
give
around,
addresses.
finds empty houses and gives out addresses.
Because then people can stay. He goes,
just go
take care of
stay
it and don't let it rot, because the person is living in another suburb.
In another state.
Yeah, and they don't even care about it, and it's just sitting empty. So they're giving out addresses on YouTube. It's a channel, right? I'll share it with you later. And he goes, a squat, don't let it rot. It's better than letting it rot. So it's true.
It's 100%. It's true.
Yeah.
And so for me, I feel like these are the biggest things.
What's the Islamic ruling on that?
You're sort of like taking care of it,
No, seriously.
You're an IT guy, so like I remember we had a lecturer who was teaching us about. He's a hacker. Like he's an old. He probably passed away now. He was like in his 60s, but he was like a hacker from like the 80s, early 90s, and he was telling us that hacking is like. There's two types of hackers. One is like actually tries to steal stuff from you, information, and the other one is like just wants the
access,
the thrill, and then they leave you a little like message, basically like, because this is, so he explained, he goes, the example of the second one is like someone breaks into your house, goes in through the window, then leaves a little note for you that I've been here and you should put a better alarm system or close your windows. He goes, it's not nice either. Either way, it's not good. So,
what
if something is somebody else's, you asked about the hukum of that. That's Mufti Sahib.
You guys need to get back and come back to me with the fatwa on this one. Don't do it on the fly.
No.
Okay, the second thing is, when we talk about council elections versus federal elections versus state elections, the argument is there. As I said, remember, I'm being devil's advocate right now. The argument is council elections are for locals there's nothing a council can do on an international stage. There's nothing a council can do on a state level, because all the council can do is say, yep, as a council, we're going to divest from Israel, for example. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Right? But look at what I have done for this person, for this. Look at everything that I can do and the difference I can make if I'm with this party, because without them, I'm not going to win.
You want to...
Yeah, sure. So this whole triple R, rates, roads, rubbish.
Triple R.
Triple R.
What is it?
So council, your local ward, is all about rates, roads and rubbish.
Okay.
And we need to
Rates, roads
focus
and
on
rubbish.
local issues. And everything else is a distraction. So to someone that has a view, I would say, why are Zionists and Council Watch type right-wing people having literal seminars
What's
saying...
Council Watch?
Council Watch is supposedly a neutral organization that looks at every council and goes, where's the wasted funds going? And
It's a government body, or is it just a...
No, it's
not
not
like a think tank sort of thing.
Yeah, but behind the scenes, every single one of the media thing, their posters are about they're anti-left and anti many things that we like.
And supported by the Australian Jewish Association, right?
And they hold
the
seminars
AGA.
together with AGA. And they literally had a seminar around why Palestine shouldn't be a council issue. So that's your simple answers to why it should be a council issue. But anyway.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
if the Zionist thinks it's worth it, then it's definitely worth it, because they're pretty good at politics.
So we live in the old Moreland, now Marybeck, and so one of the councillors there has been very pro-Palestinian. She's a Muslim herself, and she was the first one to raise the flag of Palestine and bring up the motion in the council. Those are seen as symbolic moves, but beyond that, she ended up divesting from 4 Israeli businesses or Zionist businesses that had business with the council. So these are realistic, practical steps where she's reflecting the sentiments of the community.
Yes.
And it's all good to say rates, rubbish and roads, but hang on, the community really feels that their rep should reflect the sentiment of the people. And we know the sentiment of the people. We see them in protest. And this gets amplified, and we know, I've got phone calls from Sydney from people saying, oh, are you from this council, and how did the lady get it done, and can we do similar things? It's got resonance across the country.
Yeah.
And as soon as you have this third tier of government kind of activities like council, and then it gets resonated in the state parliament, and then it goes, so a common man
I disagree with Abdul Wajid. I agree with you that what he just said regarding that, no, it's local issues. No, it is a part of the government. It's like you said, a tier of government, and it will resonate and it will filter up to the other levels of the government as well, because they're crossing paths because of decision-making bodies. They're crossing paths, and these sentiments will be transmitted.
It sort of shows up that these are issues that the community cares about. If they want to win in the federal election, like they do have to,
Yeah, they'll tip them off. Look, we better do something about this. Our community concern. We're going to lose the next election. We're going to lose a seat, a safe seat. Because we're not attending to this, or they talk amongst each other, obviously.
So it's a whole amplification of voices, right? 3 of us common men on the street, and our voices get picked up by this rep in the council, which then gets amplified at state parliament and federal at the same time. So that's all about the coverage in the media, and raising of the flag and the motion, and and then people also, detractors, talk about it, which is also good.
You can also just raise awareness. Like a lot of people just don't know what's happening, and you can raise awareness. People like what's happening. They get curious to find out. They do some research and oh no, this is really wrong. What's happening? I can't believe we're supporting it.
Yeah. And the whole thing of Palestine being a Muslim issue, it really isn't. So in every protest, you see so many of people who are not part of the Muslim faith being there. And we think, as Muslim Votes Matter, we're not only speaking to Muslims, it says Muslim Votes Matter, but we are with so many solidarity groups, like Palestinian solidarity groups across Victoria and in other states. We got progressives who, like the Greens, who agree on this issue. We may not agree on every single thing with the Greens, but there are things we have a big overlap, and preservation of life is obviously the obvious one. And also you have people who are traditional Labour voters, and they are pretty unhappy with what's happening, and they also want to probably are going to vote as a protest vote against the incumbent would also be adding to our voices. So it's not just us as Muslims, it's a wider community. There's a lot of feelings in the community, and Muslim votes is also one of the factors we hope is going to affect the outcome of the next election.
Is that? But what about the argument of why would you vote for a non-Muslim over a Muslim? Because a lot of these parties are throwing in.
Just before we continue, just from the chat. Regarding the fatwa of shirk, and so people are terrified because of such fatwa which do not provide further discussion, update ijtihad for contemporary context. I mean, this is I think the community is sort of coming out of its shell.
It is,
and people are not used to it. People think that not participating has been the norm of Islam. This is their understanding, because they probably haven't seen Muslims so active. And hence, like you see comments, like someone made a comment, sad to see how liberalized Muslims in the West have become. I think they're talking about you, Abdul Wajid.
Do you want to clarify your position?
Wow.
No, but I think because we're not used to, as a community, of this level of activism. I think social media is helping us a lot. It's educating everybody. We are very insular in general because we are very small. I mean, we're a big minority, but at the same time, we are a minority. So we're not like, we're not everywhere. So, and we're not, we are very small, and generally are conservative in terms of our interactions.
We've kept to ourselves. We've kept to ourselves.
Yeah, and
I firmly believe
we don't want to rock the boat.
This is a product of the whole September 11 hangover. Yeah. The way we were attacked after that.
But we never were, even before September 11. We never.
No, we were. Other communities.
We're such a small community overall. Let's say a couple of percent, right? Overall, right?
Okay.
And very diverse communities you mentioned earlier. That we weren't really like putting up candidates in local councils.
Yusuf.
Historically, we haven't done that on a large scale, or make use of the resources, the numbers that we have, the type of talent that's in the community. It wasn't a norm of the Muslim society in general, like a community in Australia. So that so people that are saying how liberalized Muslim, in what aspect are you talking about? Are you talking about because they're participating in the party politics, or they're participating in the council elections, or they're even having a say? I mean, Muslim votes matter is only 1 year old, or less than a year old. So how can you say we've been liberalized in how? So if you're making comment, like, what do you mean liberalized? Like, are we, what's actual specific that's liberal about that? Spell it out, if you don't mind. I'm talking to the person who's chatting, putting the comment. Yeah, elaborate on what do you mean by the Muslim become liberalized.
So do you want to?
Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, so initially I was saying there are Muslims who are newer migrants who are not enrolled, so that's the lowest hanging fruit, right? They need to be enrolled. Number two is people who are enrolled, but they think whatever happens inside the masjid and inside the Muslim family homes, improving yourself is the be-all, and that's it. And things that's happening outside do not matter to them, so that we need to start engaging. Number three is people are politically switched on, but there are valid Islamic positions around voting is in halal, and that is something we need to speak to those schools of thought and their subscribers, and make sure that we try to engage, we try to talk to them, and making exceptions, inshallah, given the circumstances.
So preservation of life is
preservation of life being the theme.
And I saw in like on Twitter some of the most like extreme voices of who are against election. Even they say, well, there's some situation. Well, what do you mean? Like now you're changing your tune. So they have to acknowledge.
I mean, if it's shirk, then it should be like a big red line.
Yeah. So even the ones that were saying shirk, like even they are softening up. They're realizing, that might not be the correct stance on this. Like if you're just viewing it, as I mentioned before, if you're viewing it as a decision-making body and it's making decisions for society, international politics and so forth, then it might be worthwhile engaging it so it can steer it in a direction that we want. Wallahu alam.
Yeah. And number four, if I may add, is people who are switched on, they're politically involved, but they throw their hats into major parties and they're thinking of a career.
Yes.
And so they become our biggest detractors because their aim is in the community. Let's be very blunt. Their aim is party first, community second. And that becomes the biggest stumbling block because
they
never
have arguments against that. Their arguments are amazing, shows community. How do you discern that this guy's actually party or this girl's actually party first and community second.
Well, the litmus test would be, so let's say any major party, any of the two major parties, but let's say in ALP, if you're going to pursue a career, let's say there's a critical juncture where you're going to make a decision based on your conscience, or you're going to cross the floor because it doesn't sit well with you. We don't need to think of an imaginary scenario. We literally had the scenario.
Yep.
So you had someone who had to cross the floor and got kicked out and gets taken on in the national media day after day saying, shower thoughts, why don't you just leave? It was on the back of my party.
Yeah.
Just go and do your own thing. And then
But that's a valid point. It was on the back of that party.
But it's politics. I mean, you've got elected, you got kicked out. She didn't want to leave. She got kicked out, didn't she?
But if she's getting elected through a certain party, she should be following that party, whatever that
But there are
party's
no
line
rules
is.
to say that she has to leave. She has to.
It's a conscious
see,
vote,
the
and their
thing for
conscious
me-
votes allow politicians are allowed leeway.
I get
Yeah.
that. But for me, if you're running on the back of a party, rightly or wrongly, so I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's correct,
Yeah.
then that party's thrown resources towards you,
Yes.
so you should vote along with the party. However, if you decide to do that, then become an independent, use your own resources and vote your way.
Yeah, in a way that's like they will see it
That's
as a
all I'm
betrayal.
trying to
You're
say.
not towing the party line. I mean, from their perspective, will be that thing. But what is the party
No,
line?
I'm not
What is the
talking
party?
about-
That's another.
Yeah.
thing.
We're talking about
Who
Senator Fatima
decides that?
Payman, right? But Senator Fatima Payman
Yeah.
was an example for all of us to say, right, tomorrow, if I believe in these things, I should not be running with this party because I believe in these things, and it's not right for me to use these parties' resources.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
And then later on-
she's a senator
Go
because
again,
of the
that-
party, and they groomed her, and they trained her, they
Yeah,
paid for her, and they promoted her.
That's my point.
So, in a way,
But
yeah,
but she didn't know all this is going to happen when she was signed up to do it, right?
yeah,
That's my point. but
This is
we
how it's
do.
eventuated.
That's
Yeah.
the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
That if there was 10 Senator Fatima Paymans right now in federal politics, you'd be like, yeah, guys, you stuffed up because you didn't know this was going to happen. All of you are going to go independents. But the next people coming along, we know.
Yeah. So
We can't say, oh, I didn't know. I used all the party resources. I got voted in, but I didn't know that if I go against them, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
So if you're going to pursue your career in a major party with the aim of helping the community, and how do we discern that? What's the litmus test is? You already had the test, and
Yeah.
some of them have decided to stay. There are Muslim MPs in
Yeah.
parliament right now,
Correct.
within the same party, because they decide to stick to the party line. And then you have a senator that's out because she decided to go with what she thought her personal plus what the community wanted from her. And so
Preservation of life.
yeah, so it's out there. So if someone, to what Waj is saying, if someone wants to start their career now to go through a major party, Liberal, Labour,
yeah.
you already have the choices laid out in front of you. No one's going to get pre-selected
It-
without agreeing.
you know
to.
the
And we
result-
had this discussion previously that if the person who got to the top of the party, meaning as a as a senator, and they can't change that, how are you going to, at the lowest level as a local council, you're going to affect change? When at the top you can't affect change, you have to be you're kicked out. So no way,
Well,
but they're gonna weed you out
But
now.
they're not running on that platform.
Yeah.
People running on local councils aren't running on the platform of we're going to affect change on the top. It's rates, roads,
Yeah, they're saying it doesn't
rubbish,
matter.
and rubbish.
But they-
Your
yeah.
community, what's in here, that's what we need to focus on. I can do much better for Faulkner Leisure Centre. We'll make sure there's women's nights there for swimming, right? But
Can
Is
we be
that
cynic-
enough?
Can we be cynical and go, is the party throwing in these factors of someone of colour, a multicultural
100%,
candidate,
I think they are.
and trying to appease the community by saying promise of funds, grants, and here's a person that looks like you, can probably speak the language of some people, so you should go for him. And that is kind of demeaning because we're not playing the identity card. We are playing, we want to choose
Here's a
people.
chocolate. Stop crying.
That kind of it treats us really badly. Like we don't have the choice of choosing people based on
intelligence.
values.
Yeah, so that goes to the question where people are asking, okay, how can you vote, for a non-Muslim when there's a Muslim there? That's what people are asking. I think that's a very common.
So what is that? What is
What
the
was sorry?
position on that?
What did Mufti Faisal say about that?
I mean, I think the gist of it. I think he just copied or took it from Sheikh Shakib.
Yeah.
But the gist of it is that we should be voting based on our collective interests, and the interest, it's possible for them to lie with a non-Muslim, because the Muslim will could be, for example, the Muslim could be running on the ALP platform, which is at the moment that's our strategy is, or the liberals or whatever, and currently the interest of the Muslims does not lie in voting for any of these major parties.
Yeah, I think the Muslim card being pulled out by some of these Muslim councillors,
it's
automatically like I'm supposed to put my guard down and
because you're Muslim.
Yeah, it's sort of like an act of desperation.
And especially in certain key seats where there's a lot of Muslims, to use that. No, like you have to. You're right. Like to look at the, what is the best, what is the least harmful. Like that's how I look at politics and politicians. Which is
who's the what? The best of the West lot.
Yeah. Like we should be wedded to a particular party. It should be like interest based, and we shouldn't even look at the person there. It's just where do the interests of the Muslims lie?
And track record is very important, because there are people that have done genuine non-Muslims that have done genuine long-term community contribution, homeless, housing, just whatever. They've done a tremendous contribution, and we benefited from that.
Not just with the thought of winning the seat.
Yeah, they're actually real,
or running for a seat.
Yeah, and then you got some guy comes and or girl comes and they're like a career politician, and then they're trying to, I joke this about desis, like we're all desis here, so we can. I'm assuming everybody's desi here. That in every desi there is. I said it in Juma last week. One of the big mosques.
Did it get in trouble?
No. I said it's a joke. Like as a desi, we can probably make this joke that in every desi there's a glorious minister waiting to come out. It's like we're more primed for party politics. I was Pakistani.
I don't think we are.
Huh?
I think feudal politics.
Yeah, feudal politics.
Yeah.
They're not party politics. This is I haven't. There's maybe I just am interacting with different people, but the sophistication of thought is not there, and the ability to break down arguments. I'm struggling with it.
Yeah.
I'm struggling.
That's just a few
with
brothers, like thing. But there are some savvy brothers and from all communities.
They are. There's some
Actually, I'm surprised to see how many, like in the local council, because I'm down in South, and there's brothers like what the hell is it? Mashallah.
We know
I don't know what's happening. They're everywhere.
Geniuses that work in the council.
Yeah. So in different communities, Albanian, Turkish, there are a lot of active.
We just haven't come together.
Yeah.
And
maybe it doesn't need, because does it require, like, I think Muslim vote matters, or someone said it about one Dawah organization. They were saying that we want that what we have to become so part and parcel of the ummah that we're not required as an organization.
Wow.
I think that it's like we don't need to even exist.
Yeah.
And I think that Muslim vote matters, like they're serving a purpose, inshallah, that does it need to be permanently here? No, as long as the Muslims, so many other organizations will come up, inshallah.
I think we're decades away from that.
No, but I'm just mentioning that it should become so normal, and Muslims should be so aware and educated. And you have to do this at a masjid level, educate
Like
the people.
other countries.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Abu Yusuf.
So to me, the fact that laymen like myself, in terms of Islamic scholarship, are sitting with people who have got the formal education, this is a good start, because normally, like laymen like me, our interaction is we come to you when we have a question, a fatwa, and we go away, or we pray behind you in the masjid, and that's it. But the fact that a lot of imams and scholars are involved in electoral matter, in fact, is such a big, to me, I'm meeting so many community members in laymen like me, but very switched on a Sunday morning, 7 a.m., they want to talk politics, yeah?
Wow.
On Sunday morning, we have a breakfast and we go, what do we do for the community? And this is on daylight saving, so it's technically 6 a.m.
In other words, leave him alone, people. Leave him alone.
So we see the awakening across all the Muslim communities, and the fact that so delighted that Sheikh Saqib from Perth was one of the main... Shakib was one of the main speakers for MVM launch, and he still continues to interact with us on WhatsApp and providing input, and Yusuf too, Imam, that there's so many questions that come up, there are detractors, and there's constant engagement of imams. And we are super proud that, we've got this model working where imams and laymen are working together.
But
for
I
something
feel
good
like-
for the community.
But I feel like a lot of people, some people, listen to the imams when it's convenient, and then when it's going against party politics, he doesn't understand.
Yeah, I noticed some of the.
Have you noticed
when
that?
when a alim does a social commentary or political commentary or explains something, the immediate thing is, and it doesn't happen for other people.
No.
Nobody does it to a YouTuber. No one does it, or maybe they do, but they do it when an alim speak. I noticed it on Twitter as well. You should stay in your lane.
I was
You
just
should
about
stick
to
to.
say that,
You should
yeah.
stick to. You should not talk about this.
As if you have no idea.
If a political commentary or social, but comedians can talk about it. Comedians have whole podcasts, hours and hours. They're talking about politics. Nobody would say that you're a comedian. What right do you have to talk about that? But an alim is an alim of Sharia and Deen, Quran, Sunnah, hopefully, and then he's knowledgeable of Deen. Yeah, he might be able to shine some light on an aspect of it. Yeah, he might not know everything. He might not be political savvy, but there's something to take.
Why is that?
No, but
I think it's some like you said, some people don't like the alim telling them,
Your job is
maybe
in
he
the
got
mosque, stay in the
got
mosque.
hit by the alim in madrasa, and
not
now
even
he's like
hit.
taking revenge from all the
I
alims.
feel like it's a product of colonialism.
Yeah, yeah.
That the public service
I was
or
like,
the
yeah.
education, from let's
Church
use
and state,
Yeah,
driven
yeah,
very
yeah.
deep.
Let's
Yeah,
use
that's what I had in
our,
mind.
Our backgrounds, doctor, engineer, IT,
Yeah,
right? And then
IT.
And then-
if he's not
made it.
studying, put him in madrasa.
I think they also have that
When
image in mind.
Yeah, historically, you've told me that the smartest people used to go to madrasa. There are people from the richest families.
Yeah, in
used
the
to go to
Mughal Empire,
madrasa.
the ulama were paid double the civil servants.
There you go.
So like
So-
there was incentive to actually even financially to take.
So
yeah.
what is this guy know? He's an alim. What is this alim know? But you know what? Our ulama, our crop of ulama in Australia, we should be listening to them because they're a lot smarter than we are. And I'm not talking about just in din, but in breaking down and analysing situations.
Not all of them. Maybe Mufti Saab. Maybe not all of them.
Okay, I know, I'm talking about Mufti Saab.
Yeah,
Guys,
so
don't panic
mashallah,
yourself. I'm talking
Barik
about
Ali.
Mufti Saab. Don't worry. I know where Mawlana Khalid is.
Yeah.
Right, but the point is, oh, look at the daggers. We love you, bro.
All right, we gotta wrap up.
Right.
Inshallah, we've been at it for an hour and a half.
Okay.
15 minutes got wasted. We do
One more
apologize
thing,
in the middle.
another 5 minutes.
Yes.
Guess what Abu Yusuf, one of his pastimes is?
What is it?
Deers.
Mashallah. Yeah,
We need to
I'll
plan
show
a
you.
trip.
Let me show you a picture, mate.
Whereabouts?
Don't worry, because it's top secret.
Oh,
location.
secret.
Yeah, yeah.
Top secret location. It's his backyard. Someone brought a deer in and he just wanted to look like he shot a deer. That's the...
This was about 200 kilos samba.
Oh, yeah.
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 No, I'm not
mashallah.
stepping on the thing. There's a piece of wood there. There's like a log cut there.
Yeah.
I'm not. People like I'm
He's
not.
fun with his one-liner.
Is that this winter?
Just this is a month ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. alhamdulillah.
So is deer hunting only for winter?
No, you'd technically go anytime, but the snakes are out when the weather
Oh,
is
okay.
warm.
So wear high boots.
You want to go when the snakes are hibernating and you're a bit safer.
Gotcha.
This was towards like the eastern Victoria. Not too far. Half an hour from around Warrandyte.
Okay.
So it's pretty close. Yeah.
Do you go as a group of people? Or?
It was just two of us.
Oh, okay.
So usually just two of us go.
It was a random trip.
Yeah. Yeah, alhamdulillah. It was good. Alhamdulillah. It was a lot of media, mashallah.
There was deer meat in Faulkner just last week.
What's that? Do you mean?
Where from?
Yeah, a group of friends went and they
Okay.
got two. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
I
plenty of meat, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
are you talking about in the butchers?
No, terms.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he gave me some.
Meaning you're not allowed to sell it,
Okay.
but you can do a barbecue and treat your friends to it.
yeah.
Give me a call next time, bro.
Yeah. There are top secret locations or butchers in Melbourne that you can go to. After you take all your meat there, they process it. You make and they don't sell it. They they take some for themselves and they process it. Like,
MashaAllah.
I may know a few. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know any.
All right. Jazakallah khair, Abu Yusuf and Mufti Haris. Inshallah. Yes.
You wanna-
Before we
tomorrow
finish,
night?
can
Yeah.
I put in a plug? Because we talked about how, that point around imams and ulama have to stick to their lane and,
Yeah.
not interfere with worldly matters. In fact, we really disagree. I know you weren't saying that as your point of view. So with all our engagement with community, one of our first forums tomorrow is literally Islamic leadership on stage. No political candidates. It's Muslim leadership talking to Muslim community around politics and fiqh, and what are the misconceptions, and we're pleased to have Imam on the stage tomorrow speaking to the community.
Where's the program?
It is organized in Faulkner.
Okay.
And why Faulkner? Because Faulkner seems to be a center stage of a lot of battles that are happening. So we think we've done the right thing by having Islamic leadership talk to the Muslim community.
Yep.
Address the elephant in the room around major party. What should the Muslim community do? Starting off from, it's voting halal.
Okay, where's the location?
So inshallah, 9th of October, 6 p.m. at the Faulkner Bowling Club. And it goes till Maghrib, 7:30 p.m. inshallah. So we have 3 Islamic leaders on stage. We also have a Q&A session. Please let us know if you're going to come.
Inshallah.
Can you put my phone number up for RSVP?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, inshallah.
All right.
You coming?
We'll put it up put it in the description.
Are you free tomorrow?
No. Teaching tomorrow. So
okay.
Yeah. Inshallah. But is it going to be streamed or anywhere? Or?
We are hoping to stream. And look, Muslim Votes Matter is obviously one of the sponsors, but we also have AMFP, which is Australian Muslims for Palestine. So we're hoping to stream it through multiple platforms. And this should have resonance outside Faulkner too. There are multiple wards where Palestine Muslims lack of concern by major parties is a problem, and this is voting period in postal ballots. So we really hope to get the message out to anybody that cares about these things, inshallah.
MashaAllah. Everyone ends up in Faulkner eventually because of the cemetery there. That's a Faulkner. All roads lead to Faulkner. Just a last thing for anybody that wants to, the fiqh of the book Mufti Taqi Osmani, it's been translated, I think White Thread or Turas, one of the two. I think Turas, they're the ones who published it. Islam and Politics of Mufti Taqi Osmani, really nice translation. You can order that, and that's Islam and Politics. It talks about all these issues in a proper book form about a great alim of our time, and taking consideration all the issues people bring up about democracy and shirk and all that sort of things. He, a lot of them he knocks them on his head, knock them on its head, but it's a worthwhile read because we shouldn't just throw out like statements. We should understand it. We should be surgical, and we should really understand. If we want to talk about it or talk against it, then we should read it. We should know about it. There's you never come to debate or on issue. People just throw out. There's a lot of trolls online. We don't want to be a troll. We want genuine scholarship. So that's a book in English. It's actually translated in several languages. But Islam and Politics, Mufti Taqi Osmani, a worthwhile read. A contemporary scholar and well-traveled scholar, seasoned throughout the Arab world, through the Western English-speaking countries, and he's written English, Urdu, Arabic, and so forth. And his books are required reading for the Mufti training courses. We had to study it.
Wow.
That if you want a singular book about the issue to understand it from a fiqh Islamic perspective, then I think I would recommend this book, inshallah, and you'll benefit from it.
Before we finish, did that brother with the liberal comment get back? We've got to be fair to him.
No, he didn't get back. So he just trolled and disappeared.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, brother. So, assalamu alaikum.
So it wasn't
Jazakumullah khair, everybody. Thanks for joining. And we had like
Please
a dozen brothers and sisters that joined us, and they were commenting, and they were very said, Barakallah fikum, and thanked. Just the last question, one last. Apart from the Greens, are there any obvious candidates, independents, etc., that we probably should be voting for? Well, independents, you can't really, because it's not a party. It depends on where you are, I guess.
But but independents can hold the balance of power, right?
No. But he's saying, how would you identify an independent?
They would be quite obvious that they are independents. They're not backed by a party. We haven't seen, not all candidates have been announced, but inshallah we'll look at every one of them objectively and score them.
This is for the federal.
Federal, and then we'll come up with a score, and we'll come up with how to vote, saying, as a Muslim community would think your number one candidate is that one, to the least preferred candidate is whoever.
What about in council elections? What do we do?
We are in the process of doing something similar as part of Muslims for Palestine and Vote for Palestine. We're trying to number the candidates and push it out to the website. So saying, a lot of Muslim brothers just ring me the night of the election or morning and go, just tell me who to vote for. Have you looked at everybody? I don't care. I just need the number. So we're going, here's the number. We've done the
that's our community.
We've done the crunching, and here's your order. Just go and number them as based on values, but you don't want to read it, but this is a number.
So you just go up to the person that's holding the papers that are colored green on voting day and just grab them and then go in, right?
Yeah, so you have it on your phone, the preferred order, I mean, at the minimum viable level is we'll be able to provide you the order, and you just need to follow the order if you trust us with the mechanism that we are using, and we think you should.
Right.
Yep.
We'll call it a night, inshallah. We've got to pray Isha. It's very late already, 10:30. So, Jazakumullah khair for everybody joining. Inshallah, we'll see you next week. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum.